Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Red Dog Projections. I'm Lucas, and unfortunately Eric couldn't make it today, but I'll be covering, and this is going to be a shorter video, the all-important Democratic primary happening tomorrow in the state of Pennsylvania for the United States Senate. I'll be going through our predictions, what we think is going to happen, and eventually what this impact could have on the general election. And with that being said, let's go right into it. As I had mentioned earlier, this is one of those elections where it'll be very interesting to see because it's part of this proxy battle between the progressive wing of the Democratic Party and the more moderate wing. We've been discussing this election for at least a year now. I remember we discussed it first when John Fetterman first announced that he was running for the Senate seat. So let's quickly go through some background here. As I mentioned in the Republican primary video, which is probably going to be a little bit more contested than this one, Pat Toomey, the current senator, is retiring. So that's opened up a huge vacuum of different candidates who are trying to run. The main two candidates that are running in the Democratic primary is the current lieutenant governor of Pennsylvania, John Fetterman, and Representative Conor Lamb. Malcolm Kenyatta is also in there, but he's polling a little bit lower than the top two. So John Fetterman is known for being a staunchly very progressive, as it says here, staunchly progressive Democrat. He's been fighting for things like abolishing the filibuster, legalization of marijuana, and a variety of other things that the progressive base wants. The other candidate is the famous Representative Conor Lamb. He is a more moderate Democrat. He won a Trump district in 2018 in that special election, a Trump plus 20 district, running as a moderate candidate. You know, he said he wasn't going to vote for Nancy Pelosi, and I still don't think he voted for Nancy Pelosi. He voted for like Jeffries. So Conor Lamb is more of that centrist moderate brand, although he has moved to the left since launching his campaign. I think he did say he wanted to abolish the filibuster, but nevertheless, he's still more moderate than John Fetterman is. You know, he's been attacking Fetterman on Twitter all the time for being, you know, a socialist, being too far left, non-electable. But the funny thing is, it doesn't seem like it has stuck. Looking at like endorsements now, it's very clear that the establishment of the Democratic Party in Pennsylvania wants Conor Lamb. Look at all of the endorsements he has from U.S. representatives, from state legislators, from various different groups. And even the Pennsylvania Democratic Party, even though it says here they declined to endorse, when you look at the breakdown of the vote, you know, Conor Lamb got a very large portion of the vote here for the establishment support. On the other hand, you know, John Fetterman has been running more as an outsider candidate, trying to run not as someone who's like a politician. He is known for especially not dressing like a politician. A lot of the endorsements he doesn't have that many endorsements, but they're more like union workers. He doesn't have, you know, the large support of the establishment that Conor Lamb has from like people like the Philadelphia Democratic Party or members of Philadelphia. I think the mayor endorsed him as well. So that's a key difference we have here, but it doesn't seem like these endorsements have really translated in polling. You know, it seems that Fetterman's appeal to the working person and the working class men who Trump had won and Democrats had lost in recent elections seems to be working. It almost makes him seem more like an electable candidate, even though he is a progressive running in a competitive swing state. In polls, he's been crushing them, you know, 53, 41, 44. And ultimately, I think he's going for this message that in the general election, he's going to be the one that's able to turn over Western Pennsylvanian, more rural voters who might have went for Obama, but then they went for Trump. He's trying to get those voters back. And ultimately, it's an interesting strategy to see. And it's honestly hard to tell on whether Fetterman or Lamb is more electable. I've honestly went back and forth on it because there's a good argument for both sides. It'll be interesting to see who wins this primary. Our final prediction for this primary is we do think that John Fetterman will end up winning. We are predicting John Fetterman to get around 50 to 60% of the vote. and Conor Lamb to come a little bit behind that. I would say like 20 to 30%. But I'm excited for tomorrow night. It's going to be the biggest primary we've seen so far this year. And it'll be interesting to see how this impacts the general election. Thank you all so much for watching this video. If you like this episode, please hit the like button. And if you like our content, please hit subscribe. And we'll see you in our next episode as soon as possible. See ya.